Hey folks, Quill18 here, and welcome to Let's Finally Play Songs of Six. Songs of Six is a town and empire building simulation game. It is often brought up when we're streaming Dwarf Fortress and RimWorld and things like that as an epic indie village building. Well, village building is not right, because you can go and build an empire, whereas a big settlement in RimWorld might have something like 20 people, and Dwarf Fortress really starts to chug when you get past 100 people. In Songs of Six, people have cities with thousands of people all simulated. It's crazy, especially since by default, when you're just starting out, you start with 10 people on your, I want to say embark because of Dwarf Fortress. So it really does scale up to ridiculous proportions. The graphics are a fairly minimalistic pixel art kind of graphic set, which might be one of the reasons that Songs of Six hasn't really been picked up by a lot of people overall. It is still in early access, but the updates are coming fast and furious, and I've really enjoyed practicing for the last couple of days to learn how to play this bad boy. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump in. I am still fairly new to this, but hopefully we won't stagger around too much. There are multiple races you can choose to play as. The Kryptonians, who are basically elves in my opinion. The Dondorians, who are basically dwarves in my opinion. The Garthemi, who I don't know what they're supposed to be. Maybe like goblins. We've got humans. We got the Tilapia over here. Forest tends to be forestry, animal husbandry. No stranger to cannibalism. Alright. And yeah, so we're going to play as humans, because why not, right? They're the last creation of the gods, sure, but we excel at intelligence jobs and are decent farmers. That sounds okay to me. Size small is actually going to be a pretty surprisingly large map. I'm going to leave all these settings as default here. Latitude central, raids 10% strength, which is probably going to be a big problem for me just starting out. And then, yeah, we've got different, we can load a pre-generated map, I think is what that indicates, or we go with pure random gen. So that's what we're going to go ahead and do. And there we are. Now, when you've played previously, you do unlock titles that you can grab at the start of new game to get sorted out. So I could take the ruler here, which I gained from having 100 happy people, and this will increase my starting population and supplies of new games. Settle +1. I don't know what that +1 represents. I don't know if it's one extra person or if it's like effectively 100% more. So we'd start with 20, I guess, but I'm not going to go and enable this. Like, I can turn it on, I'll turn it off, we'll just go for baseline. Yep, I'll go anyway, that's going to be alright. So here's the world that was generated for us. So again, sort of a Dwarf Fortress-y kind of thing, where we get a unique procedurally generated world every time. We don't get the huge story and history that gets generated in Dwarf Fortress, for example. But maybe that's something that'll come later. We'll see. And we got to pick where we're going to settle for the first time. We got some lovely background music. Really enjoy that. So as we mouse over things, we will get various statistics about where we might want to settle. We can click, and then it'll freeze it in here, and we can mouse over and see different things. So very few deposits of anything really over here. It doesn't look like there's any Cithalon ore over there, which isn't a big deal, because that's something that the Dondorians mostly like. Fertility is at 83%. We've got some forest, some open land, you know, and then there are some various bonuses, or in this case, all penalties down below. I don't know fully how to evaluate these sites. I think ideally we'd want a little bit of all deposits. There is actually a filter thing over here. We can make sure to filter for particular deposits. Like, let's say I really want to make sure we were settling somewhere with ore so that we could have a metal industry, for example. That will highlight a few areas on the map for us. I don't know, maybe I'll go... Ooh, it's not very fertile. 30% fertility. It's got some mountain, some open land. Deposits are really good. Gonna have some flat land over here. What about something like this? I guess... Oh, here we go. We've got 81% fertility. And a decent number, some of all deposits, a little bit of everything. All right, I'm going to go with that, not really knowing what to look for at this stage in the game. We're going to do this. Okay. Check mark. Now, what's going to happen is it's going to load the actual map we're going to be playing on, which again, by itself, is quite large. There's a big sense of scale here. And you can go... Apparently, you can build an empire out of this. So this is the map we're going to be playing in. These squares here, the green squares, these are where there are wild edibles that we can harvest, and the red squares show mineable resources. So we do have some mountain over here. And then we can also see patches of wildlife. What we don't have much of is water. Really, we've only got a couple of little lakes down here, and they're not very big. Still, I think I'm going to want to settle near these lakes just so that we can have a source of fresh water. That looks like clay and some stone over here as well. So we've got that going for us. Yeah, we'll just maybe what I'll do is I'll plop down sort of here. It's in an area where there aren't any wild edibles right where we are. You know, it's closest to the water, closest to those, so we can maybe build our first little town in this area here. Pick a bunch of just the wild plants for early food, and then expand out of that in some direction. Pick up the clay there, we got stone there. I guess our ore is probably, I think that's ore, the light color here. But I'm not worried about getting to that early. Not too many trees where we're settling over here. There's a big forest to the north, but I guess we'll have to make do with what we've got. So the first thing we got to do is plop down our throne room. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So this is where we're originally going to arrive, and then we can zoom in here. And if I unpause, just at relatively low speed, we've got our population here, and they'll sort of scatter around. So you can see very, very simple little pixel graphics over here, and we do indeed have a population of 10 people. But like the zoom level should imply something about the scope, and I think that's one of the big appeals with this game, is that it does have a ridiculous kind of size. So we currently have 10 people. They're all humans. We can take a look at our humans over here. So there's more races that are available as well beyond. I think that's more than the starting ones, because I don't think... And yeah, the Argonash weren't available to start with, nor the Cantors, I don't think. But we are human here. We can take a look at our info. Population, I believe this just shows you where they tend to spawn in the world, rather than specific preference. They get along fairly well with all the other races, which is what we're seeing here. Their preferred religions are Kratorism and Athorism. That's going to be the most likely religions that we're going to see in our people. We can check individuals, though. And they prefer to eat bread, meat, mushrooms, and egg. That's interesting. I thought the last time I loaded up the humans we had fish as a thing. Well, good thing on this map about that maybe they don't have a specific fish preference because there's not much water. And then yeah, we can see what kind of building types they like. They would really prefer having grand buildings. Stone buildings are also great. Wood's fine. They're not too keen on living in the mountains compared to the others. And then yeah, things that they like and things that they don't like. And they're pretty, you know, they don't like starving. They don't approve of cannibalism. You know, you can sort of, slavery, no good either there. And then we can get some physical stats for them and stuff, but, and jobs they like. They're actually, the humans are quite good at farming as a default, so they've got a little bit of extra productivity over here. They really hate being balti crawler breeders. Like, they don't mind doing other types of animals, but whatever these things are, and they look kind of like bugs to me, apparently humans do not appreciate doing that job. They're also pretty good at researching. So we got that. So different races, different strengths and things. So we've got that. But then we've got some more stats down here that we can click on and get all sorts of things that affects their happiness and that kind of jazz. But we'll come back to that. So what are we going to do to start off with? Well, let's think about the basics, right? We need food and shelter, really, to get ourselves started. That's what we'd expect from a town. We do start with a few materials. So over here in our throne room, we've got a little bit of stone, wood, fruit, clothes, rations, and also some generic livestock, which we can use to start ranching over here. We don't have, this is the resources we have in our warehouses. We don't have a warehouse, so it doesn't show us as having any resources, despite the fact that there's some lying on the ground. The same thing would happen here if I tell my people to start cutting down some trees, which I think I will. I'm gonna go, we can fell trees, we can also clear rocks for material. We can also just go clear all, which we'll do with rocks and trees. And so if we do this, you can see that we're grabbing something. So there's some stone on the ground, some trees there, and mostly we're gonna need a lot of wood early on. So I'm okay with clearing some of the stone near our start, but now I'm just gonna go fell trees, because this is a bunch of stone. I don't think we need to spend that much time grabbing that right now. And so there's a few random trees here and there. The trees do regrow. Anywhere where trees have grown, they will regrow there. It'll take a few years, but they are a renewable resource. So we've got that. So if I unpause, after a moment here, my people will stop lounging around, and they will go and chop some trees. So none of these people have actual jobs right now, and if they're not assigned to a specific profession, they count as odd jobbers, and so they do various miscellaneous jobs, building and clearing. So that's we always want some odd jobbers, ideally, because that's what they're going to do. Other jobs might occasionally have downtime, like the farmers, and apparently during their downtime, they'll effectively act as odd jobbers. So it's not the end of the world. And this red blinking here means that the happiness of this population is currently going down. And that affects, well, I mean, you know, they can have rebellions and things like that, but mostly, if they're happy, we'll get new immigrants who wanted to come join us. So, chopping down some trees, that's going to be fine. Let's get ourselves, I'm going to build a warehouse right away. Do I want to build it right adjacent to the throne room? I think that's going to be all right. So, if we go and build, and so there's a few categories over here. What we want for logistics is our warehouse. And we can build very, very big here. If I go and do something like this is a legal size warehouse. You can see we are hitting a maximum here. So we run out of green cubes. And I actually really like that visual feedback, because some games are just saying, oh, it's too large, and like, well, it's too wide, too skinny. It's literally maximum amount of space, and you can actually just visualize it. So we can make a gargantuan warehouse. It'll just take a lot of material and a lot of time to build. So we're not going to do that as a starter. We're gonna build our first warehouse, something like that, which is still, I think, fairly large. It's large enough that it's going to need some support pillars in the middle. This is what the yellow thing here. It's, you know, this roof would be so far from the walls, there'd be extra maintenance. I guess because the ceiling would always be sort of, you know, maybe sagging down a little bit, something like that. I'm just going to expand over here because we can use the same wall as our throne room. So we don't have to build quite as much, which is going to be nice. Next, we want to put down some crates. So each one of these here is a little crate that can store more stuff. We can plop down a bunch of these. The other thing that's quite convenient is you can increase the size of various things that you're building. You can click this button, you can hold left control and use the mouse wheel, or E and Q can grow and shrink. So if I make this, say, as big as I can, you can rotate this as well. But let's say we do this. Now, if I try to stick it in the corner, it's not legal because they can't reach those, some of the crates. But we can do something like this, for example, and I can pack quite a lot in here. If I want to put one down here, I'll either have to expand it by one, or maybe what I'll do is I'll just shrink. That's going to be okay. So we're going to use the shrink command over here. I'm just going to shrink this down a little bit, and then I'm also going to shrink, quote-unquote, right here. Oh, that got rid of that, which is weird. We can probably rebuild it, but I was hoping that that would be enough pillars to support things. Maybe what I'll do, actually, is if I do that and then re-expand over here. Okay. There we go. Okay, so that's enough pillars. And let me go and place these crates back over here. If I turn this sideways and shrink it down by one, we can fit some more in here. And I'm going to do another set over here. Okay, and then we also have to leave room for doors. So I'll put a couple of doors here, a couple of doors here, and I think I'll do the same in the back. That lowers the isolation, which increases maintenance, but it does add a lot more access. Maybe what I'll do instead, let me cancel these doors. And I'll just go with a pair of doors here and in the back. So we still have 100% isolation, so our maintenance isn't going to be too bad, and we're going to have a lot of barrels. So we'll hit that. The default autosave is every 3 minutes, although it doesn't do it while you're in the middle of something, so it'll often be I'll finish doing... Oh, see, we got an immigrant waiting for us. That +1. So I could open this and then authorize the immigrants, but you can also just double-click on here to bring them in. So now we've got 11 people around, which is going to be good. We need 57 stone and 185 wood to build this warehouse. That is, you know, it is a little bit on the big side here. There we go. That clear rock happened. Good. I'll make room. That's going to be fine. Okay. So most of the population is still going and chopping down trees right now, and that's a-okay. So we'll let those guys come in. We can increase the speed. So this is normal speed. And if we look here, like the time progression, it goes a minute. Oh, there should be a leading 0 there. It's a little bit... Someone's got to do a little string formatting on that number. You can see it goes a minute every couple of seconds, or maybe every second. We can increase the speed. We can increase it a lot more. And actually, if you're on max speed, and if you just hit this again, it'll go, apparently, someone said something like 250 times speed. So, so you know how we play these city builders where things get kind of slow? This is going to take a long time to slow down. That's why you can have huge populations in this. This is built and optimized in such a way that, yeah, you can have cities with thousands of people, which is crazy. Yeah, this wall didn't, is it still assigned to be made here? Yeah, okay. There you go. Yeah, there was a stone in the way, so I think it was kind of blocking a little bit. All right, this is going to come together. That's going to be good. What else do we need? Well, oh, we've got more immigrants. Now, if you want, so again, I can authorize one immigrant at a time. I can also accept an automatic amount. You can see this number goes crazy. Like, this would literally be automatically accept immigrants as long as you've got less than 40,000 people. So basically, we're going to auto-accept all immigrants, which right now I'm going to do. I'm going to leave that on so that we keep getting a trickle of immigrants in, which is going to be fine. Now, the more people you have, the harder it's going to be to keep everyone happy, so it will auto-regulate. It'll hit sort of a maximum number and kind of just sit there until you add more services and do various things. I am very happy to be starting with this. We got some aurochs here. I think what we should do is set up some hunting. Right now, so this number is how many days of food I have stored. Now, again, I did spawn with some rations as well as some berries here. So we actually do have food, but it's not any stockpile. So it's counting as 0 currently. But we are going to have to get some food going on. And there's plenty of wildlife right here. So I think we'll just set up some hunting. What I'm going to do, despite the fact that this is going to add... I should probably just finish the warehouse. Went a little crazy with the warehouse. It's okay though. Yeah, go and chop down some more trees. Thank you. We'll be fine. We'll get through this. Yeah, there's... Oh man. Some onks. How's the fertility of the area here? So brighter spots are more fertile. Yeah, so nothing super strong. Right over here. Oh, right around the water. Yeah. Well, part of it is some of the tiles in the water are the ones that are fertile, so that's not very helpful, but there's this over here. You can build canals or channels as kind of aqueducts to irrigate farms. It doesn't increase fertility, as I understand it. It adds to another stat. I mean, it still helps, but ideally you want a fertile tile and water access. But yeah, this might not be the greatest farming spot in the universe, but that's okay. Now, I would like, I don't know if there's a shorter way to eliminate this. If you put on a filter, like right-clicking, you know, dismisses the overlay, that's fine, but to disable it, I've got to click on this tiny button again and go down to fertility again. I kind of wish while you had a filter active that maybe there was like a little pop-up or something over here, so you can just click on it to like clear the filter or something. I don't know. Tiny little UI things. We're like, I wonder if there's a way to make that better. Okay, we got ourselves our first warehouse. So what we can do is, things don't get stored in here automatically. You actually have to specify not only what a warehouse can hold, but how many barrels you're allocating to it, or how many crates. So this warehouse has 36 crates because of everything I built here. I think each physical graphic is 2 crates. Does that make sense? Because this is a block of 10, 20... And there's the extra bits over there. Because to me, it sort of looks like 28 boxes. But yeah, it must count these extra bits on the end as well. Okay, I guess that makes sense. Anyway, so we're going to store some things. Things we know we have that we want to store. So for example, we've got some clothes. So I'm going to allocate a crate to that. I'm just going to hit plus over here. So one of my 36 crates is allocated to clothes. We've got some fruit sitting around as well. So we'll go ahead and do that. What else we got here? We got stone, and we're going to be harvesting more stone. So we'll allocate, again, at least 1 crate to that, just so that things start coming in here. I'll allocate, like, at least a couple to wood, because that's clearly going to be something we process a lot of. The rations and livestock can actually just sit around. I don't think that's a big deal for now. So we'll just go ahead and start with that. And that's going to be okay. Well, if we're going to do hunting, we're clearly going to be storing, we're going to produce meat. So let's assign a barrel to meat and assign a barrel to leather, because we'll be grabbing that from hunting. Hunting might generate a couple more things, but we'll see. I think it can generate, like, cotton, weirdly. I'm assuming that's from killing, like, woolen things, and it's actually wool, but that's generalized as cotton. I think that might be the case. We'll see. I want to build a road, though. So I'm going to go... Ooh, thank you for saving. I'm going to go to roads. We only have the technology to build dirt roads, so we're going to do that now. When you open up the road thing, it actually shows you there's a, what's it called? Path usage over here. So it actually automatically opens up the path usage filter, and it's showing you where people have been walking in these squares. So that can inform something about where you might want to build roads. And I think this is like very high usage walking. So, I mean, that's a good thing for us to build. Also, people do get some satisfaction from having roads in their towns, because it makes it feel like, I guess, more of a town. We'll be looking at needs and happiness. Well, quite a lot, actually. But you know what? I'm going to go ahead and do that. And maybe what I'll do, because I don't know where I want the roads going everywhere, I'm going to go delete jobs. Here and here. Okay. So dirt roads don't take any material. They just take a little bit of time. They do let you move faster. I think the dirt road was saying 110%? Yeah, 110%. Well, it's plus 110%. So is that actually, like, more than doubling our move rate? Or, because when it's saying plus 110%, I would think that means we move at 210%. But maybe it's just 10% faster. But it also has 50% road satisfaction. So if we do open up our race people over here, people have all kinds of various needs that they want. And I believe under environment, you can see their road needs. Right now, it's 18% satisfied, which is not very high. It's not very fulfilled. So if we build more roads, and particularly better roads, this meter will fill up more. Overall, people will be happier, and that will bring in more immigrants for us. You can see they have access to no services right now, and there's definitely some stuff that they would like, so we'll try to do some of that. Also, under access, they don't have any homes right now, so that'll be something else we set up very quickly here. But I will let them go ahead and build these roads. It's probably early, too early, but we'll do it anyway. And actually, while you're doing that, we're also going to go and set up hunting. So it's got an agriculture category. Really, it's more than just agriculture, because it includes like animal husbandry, hunting, cannibalism. I mean, that's not really agriculture. Maybe that could be renamed, but yeah, food making stuff goes over here. So we're going to go and plop down a hunter. Now, just like the warehouse, we go and design this room, and we'll probably figure out sort of like really handy layouts at some point. Now, most games you would sort of lay out your rooms like this, but that's only the inner space of the room, so there's walls added on the outside of that. You can right-click to undo whenever you want, you know, if ever you make a mistake. And the other thing, yeah, you can go to the shrink rooms and trim it if the shape's no good for whatever reason, like that. A little darker in the middle, but that's going to be fine. So workbench over here. The more workbenches you have, the more people you can have employed in the role. So if I put down the smallest one over here, we can have one hunter operating out of this building. I could build two of these. Now all of a sudden, 2 hunters can work simultaneously. And the other thing, which is exactly equivalent as far as I know, is you can just make it bigger like that. So I'm just going to start off with room for 2 hunters for now. And the other thing is you can note this efficiency. So your various jobs, a lot of these buildings need these generically named auxiliary stations that add their, you know, extra knickknacks and things for the room, and they will add efficiency. So we need another 50% efficiency. You can see this would add 0.1. That's 10%. So if we embiggen this and we had this station here, that would be 50%. Now I might want to do one big station, or what I might want to do is a few small ones, you know, depending on what kind of look I'm trying to achieve. I don't know. I think I like this. We'll put it in the middle of the room for now. We might end up moving things around if we want more hunters. We'll see. I got to build a door because I think it won't let me. If I try to hit this, yeah, there you go. There's no door. We can't access it. So I'll just put a little single door there and say, okay. There we get our autosave again. So someone's going to come and build this, and we will get a constant supply of fresh meat and hides. Meat doesn't really last very long. It rots quite quickly. Everything's got this, like, spoil rate. So meat, 100% of meat spoils every year. So it don't last for so long. Most fruits spoil. Once they get cooked, they do last longer. But, yeah, raw food doesn't stick around very long. So we don't want to actually stockpile a large amount of it. In fact, one of the things we'll do is we will probably look into potentially selling off excess meat. So I do like this. Mostly it's actually, the hunting is going to be mostly about getting the hides to maybe get some clothing going on, in my opinion. Because for food, we actually will get, like, I'm not going to rush to build a farm early on, because as it turns out, if you go harvest wild edibles, like, you can feed your people pretty quickly with that. You can filter to different types, or you can just use the question mark here. It'll grab everything that you select. You can also get a little indicator of what's what. It's kind of handy because this is wild grain, which we can then use to bake bread. We're going to get a variety of different things. Cotton. We might have access to opiate in the wild here. I don't know. I don't see any. I see shrooms. Not those kinds of shrooms. Yeah, they'd just be food things. So what we do is we can just designate a large area, and it doesn't even consume the bush. Right? It marks them to be harvested. So it says is unclaimed. What this means is someone hasn't picked up the job to harvest this yet. But what'll happen is they'll just pick it every time it's ready to be harvested. Someone's going to come over and grab it. And you can actually see that the jobs will change color when someone picks up the job. Now, I don't want to overload my people with too much work right now, but we'll see. Oh, speaking of work, so the warehouse over here can also employ someone. So right now it has no one employed. I'm going to go ahead and employ one delivery man. So one of our workers is no longer going to be an odd jobber. They're going to, if I just fast forward over here, there we go. They're going to become a full-time warehouse worker over here. So they'll be going out to collect things that belong in this area. You can also put explicit fetch commands with this button over here. And they'll grab stuff from other warehouses. So you can use that to concentrate goods in areas where they're needed. There's a few different ways to do it. I forgot to mention it. I'm playing this on version 62 of Early Access, which actually just came out yesterday. I did my first practice session, then I did a live stream, and after the live stream, when I went back to continue my practice session, the new version had dropped, which introduced housing and disease. So it's pretty significant change. The user interface has all changed, so I kind of had to relearn a couple of things. But yeah, the development for this game is definitely going. So maybe, maybe it's poor time to start it, or maybe it's perfect time because, the new content just hit, and maybe it's the perfect time to start something. So we're going to keep working on this. We do need a bunch more wood going on. We've got some in storage still, and presumably we still have some wood cutting jobs set up, but I probably, typical me, set up way too many jobs. Well, one way to deal with that is if we had more workers, we'd be able to deal with the jobs a little bit better. So what we're going to do is we're going to get some houses. And what's convenient about the houses is we don't really have to build them. So this is the big thing with this update. You used to have to sort of build a designated area as kind of a dormitory and populate it with things. Now what you do is you kind of just allocate an area as people's homes. So apartments can have a pair of people, and they do offer the best privacy, 100% privacy. Different races have different needs for privacy. I don't remember. Somewhere in here, it explains privacy requirements for the different races. Somewhere in here or on one of these pages. I don't know. Well, at home privacy over here, we can see the fulfillment. But, oh, I guess if we just swap between the races, you can see. So these guys actually want a little bit more privacy. These guys might want a little less. These guys they get, huge benefit from privacy and probably require a lot of it. We could probably make do with slightly larger houses to start off with. Rather than an apartment of 2. We could do a house that fits... it says more residents. It doesn't say how many. I think it might fit 4. So it is a less private. But maybe we'll just start off with these houses. So again, you can use Q and E or Control and mouse wheel to decide how much you're placing in one go. Makes it so you don't have to spam click quite as much. Let's do a couple of blocks of houses here. Let's do back-to-back housing this way. Oh, shoot, hold on. Not remove, cancel job. You can assign hotkeys to just about everything too, which is probably something I'm going to do. I didn't notice I was hanging over the road down there. Didn't like that. There we go. Let's do that. Okay. So, doesn't take any material to put down this initial spot. It just needs a little bit of construction progress to clear the land. And basically, people are sort of going to start off... I've just picked them as sort of tents. Or at least, designated sleep spots at first. But they can improve it over time if you give them access to various resources. And yeah, I built this hunter lodge bigger than it needed to be. And maybe I could have just made it quite tight, because if this is where my town's going to be, probably the hunting lodge is not going to be an appropriate place long term, because if we expand out, then it'll shoosh away the wild animals. But we will see. So yeah, we're hoping that we will see this start to flash green once these houses finish and people take them on, so that they will feel like they've got their own house and their population is going to go up. So fingers crossed for that. The different colors over here, we have 0 meat stored, but we actually do try to store it, which is why it's got this red background, whereas we have 0 fish stored, but we don't actually have warehouses assigned to it. If I go and tell this place that you can have barrels of fish, you can see that now it changes to red over here. So you do get an interesting little hint about things. If you also what is it, oh, if you right click, it'll show you, it'll cycle between any warehouse where this is being stored. If I had multiple warehouses with meat, every time I right click here, it would cycle to a new warehouse that stores meat. Really handy little UI things that I'm discovering as I go. Also built in like super screenshot thing, which will take a picture, I think, of like the entire settlement and output it to one huge image, which appeals to me greatly. You know me, I like to take my screenshots in games. All right, some of these houses are now established. No one's living in here yet. Yeah, so these houses have 4 vacancies. So we have enough housing here for 24 people, which is, you know, nearly double our population. So this house has been claimed by Lord Almighty Zrelik. If I click over here, I can actually get a list of everyone. I'm guessing this name is like, is it like an early adopter, like, you know, Kickstarter backer or something? Sounds like someone's username. We can favorite people. I actually don't know where to access the favorites. Maybe there's a filter. There's a filter for favorites. There it is. But yeah, we get the age, height, their religion, yeah, whether they have access to various goods and stuff, and their overall estate. You know, at some point, they're going to have to go and poop, for example. They're going to want to see doctors at some point. All that kind of jazz. And they do have different traits, which theoretically you could optimize on. All right, we have 1 hunter hired here. I'm going to hire a 2nd hunter, which is our cap over here because of the work spots and things. But yeah, we'll keep that going, and we'll get a regular supply of meat and hides, which we can use to do some early trading, which I think is going to be very lovely. Houses are up. I'm surprised that we haven't gotten more people in. Let's see about fulfilling more of their needs. Or maybe it's still changing. It's in blue here. Maybe it hasn't been calculated in yet? Let's see what happens. If I run super fast speed. Well, we did get an extra person joining in. Yeah, it looks like the green is catching up. So blue must just be like new updates. Now, under the access here, we've also, and this is kind of hidden, because I knew with this update that people will go and grab goods. Like if we mouse over a house here, you can see that Narta and Alexios are living together. And it says 0 of 16 wood, 0 of 8 furniture, etc., etc. And if the people go and grab that stuff, they'll actually decorate their house with it and make it look like nicer. That's what this sort of furniture thing is. But they won't do it unless you allow them. You have to choose to enable furnishings. Like if you enable some wood, they'll go and put in wooden floors and presumably walls in the ceiling, so that'll make them feel a lot better. Like this is just where they're living, right? Their little personal camp. But they'll make it a proper house if you let them use some wood over here. So they'll use it to build, and then also there's consumption because they're constantly having to maintain things. So I don't know if it's really viable for us to enable these things early on, but that is a way to get some extra stuff. But we'll also see if we can get some services going on in the early days. So we only got so many things unlocked with our tech. We'll see. Well, we may want to build a janitor because janitor is like maintenance man, that sort of thing, because buildings do degrade over time. So we're probably going to want that. Workstation. Marker you put down where the employed will perform jobs in the vicinity. Right. So yeah, they're basically like odd jobbers, but in a particular area, so you can get them to focus. We don't have any of the military tech right now. We don't have any law tech right now. We could build a laboratory to start getting tech points. We're definitely going to want that in the near future, but I don't think right now. We can build a hearth. So the hearth lets them warm up if they're cold. So right now it is going into autumn. It's currently 24 degrees, which is okay, but it's about to get cold. I believe these are centigrade. Based on what the numbers I've seen, it's the only thing that makes sense. So right now, they're fairly fine and warm, but we are going to want a hearth so that they can warm themselves up before winter comes. And of course, as they say, winter is coming. So this is a building. We just built it outside. It's just got like, it's just sort of an outdoor fireplace where people can, I was going to say chill, but quite the opposite, in fact. I think we'll put it here because people can walk by this into their houses. It'll be right by their house. Yeah, I like that spot. I think that's going to be cool. I don't know what kind of look and vibe I'm going to want with the city as a whole. Right now, I'm just placing things down so that, you know, as a start, a little mini starter village. And then we'll probably come up with some sort of like road plan. I want to avoid things being on a pure grid. What I think I might want, and we're actually sort of starting it here, I think what I might want is some sort of thing where we've got this grid that's kind of constantly offsetting itself, right? Like with different sized blocks. I might even run this road down here. Like, clearly I think the road's going to go here. Now, I don't know if it's going to keep going straight and we'll close this off as a block, or if it might bend down here and come this way. It'll depend on what else we put in this area, but I think that's the vibe I'm going to want. Sort of odd-shaped blocks constantly interconnecting in loosey-goosey ways. The one advantage, though, of doing regular-sized blocks is you can copy and paste a building. Like, if I'm happy with this warehouse and I need another warehouse somewhere, like, you can just control-click to start a new warehouse, right? Click and drag. But if you shift-click, it's just going to copy the warehouse as a whole, which is nice. You can also save... you can also save things to some sort of, like... Yeah, saved room blueprints. Oh, I think what you do is you do that. And then, if we click here, there we go. We have a blueprint for a room that we can reference later on. So, we'll see. We'll see. Maybe we can come up with an interesting size multiplier where we have different size blocks, but they can repeat periodically. Which, I guess any size block does that. But maybe if we sort of standardize on 3 different ones... Maybe as long as they're not square, it'll still be good. I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, I've rambled on a little too long at the end of this video. Meant to put in a cut a little while earlier, but I hope you're looking forward to Songs of Six over here, which I'll probably call Song of Sticks a billion times, because that's what I always thought the game was called. Thanks a lot for watching, and if you are new to the channel, of course, subscribe and all that kind of jazz. It makes a huge difference, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.